I'm pretty sure the only people that view this as a rivalry is all of you. Like, for us, like, it's just a game of basketball.
The WNBA has revealed its first Rivals Week for the 2025 season, following the NBA's strategy of spotlighting high-profile matchups to boost viewership. They're not just taking inspiration, they're borrowing ideas and money at this point. And honestly, that shouldn't be a surprise since everyone loves a good rivalry. But surprise, surprise, it's already facing backlash. As soon as the announcement dropped, fans rushed to X, formerly Twitter, to mock the league after seeing the list of rivalries, picking apart every matchup and player with brutal precision. When it comes to using its biggest marketing weapon, Caitlin Clark, the WNBA still hasn't learned its lesson. Based on recent comments from players, it seems there's more going on beneath the surface, and the drama and envy are still alive. Before we dive in and see whether the W is about to fumble its most important season yet, let us know which WNBA rivalry you're most excited for, or if you think people are just here to watch Caitlin Clark. It's no surprise the WNBA is eager to stir up rivalries to attract attention, as Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has emphasized how crucial star-powered showdowns are for the league's growth.
Rivalry, that's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
In reference to how the NCAA rivalry between two Hall of Famers influenced the NBA in the 1980s, Engelbert publicly expressed her hope that the Clark versus Reese matchup will become the WNBA's own Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird moment.
It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979. Those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black, and so we have that moment.
It was clear that two feisty and exciting collegiate athletes had the potential to captivate the nation and reshape the WNBA's image. She was partially right, though.
The right decision by Christie Sides not to challenge it would have been a tough one. Gets Clark off the screen, finds some space, and delivers! It's a triple for Caitlin Clark.
After last year's Olympic break, Caitlin Clark went on a rampage, capturing Rookie of the Year honors and averaging over 23 points per game. She led her team to the playoffs for the first time since 2016 and brought millions of new fans to the league. On the court, however, Angel Reese left a different impression. While her double-double average was impressive, her shooting efficiency was disappointing, especially from within 5 feet, where she ranked among the league's worst. And finally, there were the other factors I'll mention.
Comes up with the board. Long pass, perfect to Reese. She was unable to...
Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark were being likened to Dennis Rodman and Steph Curry, respectively. While rebounding is certainly important, and Angel's rookie season was strong overall, she simply doesn't possess the same skill set as Caitlin. The WNBA is now leaning into this rivalry to boost viewership, making a concerted effort to build new narratives around its rising stars. As part of that push, the league introduced WNBA Rivals Week. The 2025 edition, running from August 9th to 17th, promises high-intensity matchups across the board. Commissioner Engelbert believes a full week of rivalry games will motivate teams to compete harder for playoff spots and keep fans engaged during a pivotal stretch of the season. In theory, it's a smart move. The NBA has held a rivalry week for years, with classic matchups like Lakers versus Celtics drawing major attention. The WNBA is clearly hoping to tap into that same energy. According to the announcement, featured games include Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever versus Angel Reese's Chicago Sky, the Minnesota Lynx versus the New York Liberty, the Golden State Valkyries versus the Los Angeles Sparks, and the Atlanta Dream versus the Phoenix Mercury. But how did fans react? Not well. Social media quickly lit up with criticism, sarcasm, and jokes, with many calling the WNBA's version of Rivals Week forced or phony. The most common complaint: these rivalries don't feel real, at least not yet.
Off to Stewart! 28 years in the making! The New York Liberty are WNBA champions!
Fans pointed out that the Atlanta versus Phoenix matchup felt odd, aside from the Liberty versus Lynx game, which at least had the context of their recent finals appearance. But the biggest laugh came with the inclusion of the Golden State Valkyries, a brand new expansion team. While diehard women's basketball fans might find the Brittany Griner storyline interesting, it's unclear whether casual viewers feel the same. One harsh comment summed it up: how can an expansion squad already have a rival? The league's announcement of a California rivalry between the Valkyries and Sparks was widely mocked, as it was obvious the two teams were only connected by geography. On platforms like Reddit and X, fans criticized the WNBA for trying too hard, saying nearly every promoted matchup seemed to come with a rivalry label slapped on it. The Chicago versus Indiana game caught particular heat, with many pointing out that the only reason it's being marketed as a rivalry is because of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. Outside of that narrative, there isn't much actual history or intensity between the Sky and the Fever.
They're losing it. They are just not with it yet.
Just not with it. Bill Lambier, sure-handed normally.
And now they have to fight for this series. P.J. Brown throws Charlie Warren. Watch out. This one's going to get really ugly. P.J. Brown picked Charlie Warren up and threw him into the photographer's row.
True rivalries in sports are built over years of fierce competition, through playoff battles, personal conflicts, and sometimes even controversy or trash talk. You can't just slap a Ferrari badge on a Kia and expect fans to treat it like a Ferrari. When your most loyal supporters respond with sarcasm and memes, it's clear the message didn't land. The WNBA's marketing team surely noticed the backlash, but it wasn't the kind of buzz the league was aiming for. And just when it seems like progress has been made, a new debate emerges. This raises a deeper question. Why is the WNBA pushing these narratives so aggressively, and can the league really call it a win? The truth is, the WNBA is trying to walk a fine line, elevating its top talent while also treating every team and player fairly. But the harsh reality is that entertainment value drives everything. Not every player draws equal attention, and that's just the nature of the game. With Caitlin Clark dominating the league's metrics in 2024, it was inevitable that other teams and players would receive less of the spotlight. Some athletes and fans were outraged when the 2025 national TV schedule was announced. The Indiana Fever will have 41 of their 44 games streamed or broadcast nationally, more than any other WNBA team. Meanwhile, the reigning champion New York Liberty will have just 32 of their games televised across the country. While it's clear why networks expect higher viewership when Caitlin Clark is playing, not everyone was pleased about it. When asked about this on ESPN's First Take, Minnesota Lynx standout Nafisa Collier gave a very blunt response.
League won. But every time we think there's a win, there's somebody who brings something else up.
Hey, we don't choose the TV schedule, the broadcasters do. The league said, clearly on the defensive. While logistically challenging, ESPN and CBS are fond of games that end in a draw. This only supported the argument that the WNBA was favoring one new star over others. Enter Rivals Week, which seems to be an attempt to spread attention by forcing everyone to play in different matchups, whether intentionally or not. See, we pay attention to all of our franchises and players, not just Caitlin, the league might have said. The problem is that artificially labeling rivalries may not be the most effective way to achieve this goal. The WNBA appears caught between two competing forces. First, the league must aggressively expand by capitalizing on the popularity of its stars. Second, it needs to ensure that seasoned players in other markets aren't left out, with every team getting fair and inclusive promotion. The goal of Rivals Week is to strike this balance. For instance, the main event will still focus on Clark versus Reese, as their immense appeal can't be ignored. But the league's message also says, hey, look at all these other rivalries, not just Caitlin Clark. And here lies the issue. You can't force rivalries. The best rivalries in sports develop organically through frequent high-stakes games or genuine animosity. Take the Lakers and Celtics, for example. They became iconic after trading titles and meeting in the finals multiple times. In the world of women's college basketball, the ongoing power struggle between coaches Gino Arima and Pat Summitt fueled the rivalry between UConn and Tennessee. Fans roll their eyes at the idea of Sparks versus Valkyries. How could the Valkyries have a true rival before even playing a season? No amount of marketing jargon can convince sophisticated fans that there's any real animosity there. At best, it's an attempt to create a regional rivalry between Northern and Southern California that hasn't even had time to develop. The significance of any so-called rivalry is further undermined when it's just a label slapped on. Fans are sharp enough to spot a genuine rivalry when they see one.
With such star power on those teams, it's really no surprise they're atop the list for the most games available for you to check out on a national scale. The Fever, they lead the league with 41 games here, followed by the Aces 33, the champion Liberty at 32.
Reese versus Clark, the WNBA's main event, doesn't truly represent a fierce rivalry between teams on the court. This battle is personal and rooted in their college days. Aside from the fact that these two rookies faced off in two memorable March Madness games, the WNBA's Indiana versus Chicago storyline falls flat. The players themselves have downplayed any rivalry multiple times.
Was this a fair move by the W?
I think it's two things. I mean, obviously people want to watch Caitlin play, and so you have to put the people on TV that people want to see. But at the same time, like, there's stars all over the league, and you want good basketball as well. Obviously, Indiana, especially like with their free agents, they're gonna be a great team. But to not have the defending champs on TV more, I think
we're not best friends by any means, but we're very respectful of one another, Clark has said in interviews. She's also stated that she doesn't understand why Reese is being portrayed as her enemy. Yes, we've had tremendous battles, but when have I ever guarded her? And when has she guarded me? Clark pointed out, highlighting that they don't even match up directly. On the other hand, Angel Reese has expressed her admiration for Caitlin, saying, "I love Caitlin."
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
Moreover, the story of competitiveness is more external than interpersonal. In other words, from the player's perspective, there's no genuine hostility or intense back and forth. As one pundit put it, is it really a rivalry? Reese and Clark resemble the dynamic between LeVar Ball and Michael Jordan, where the excitement has little to do with what's happening on the court and more to do with outside noise. It may be a bit exaggerated, but you get the point. The only reason their supposed animosity keeps getting brought up is because of that one-hand gesture and ring point from college, which, to be honest, Clark herself didn't even acknowledge at the time. Now, the WNBA is trying to keep it alive after the media turned it into a cultural moment. If the WNBA can't establish true rivalries, how else can it capitalize on its rising stars and tell compelling stories that make fans care about players beyond Caitlin Clark? The answer might be simpler than we think. Focus on the real stories and conflicts that fans are already invested in, even if those players aren't rivals yet. Let the drama unfold organically. In other words, by relying on authentic narratives. For instance,
Pretty sure the only people that view this as a rivalry is all of you. Like, for us, like, it's just a game of basketball. Like, that's what it is.
instead of creating artificial rivalries, why not put the top names in the league front and center? Fans will tune in to watch elite athletes compete, regardless of whether or not there's a defined rivalry. Take an MVP race, for example. Promoting a matchup between A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark doesn't require inventing a rivalry history. The talent and stakes alone make it exciting. It could even be framed as a measuring stick game or a potential preview of the finals. Basketball fans already view these high-profile matchups as self-promotional. No need to force a narrative when the competition speaks for itself.
And obviously that has become a thing and people are just trying to make it seem like it's something, but I love Caitlin, I love her game, and I admire everything she's done.
Rematches between rookies and college stars can generate significant buzz, as their loyal college fan bases follow them to the WNBA. The league is smart to schedule matchups like Paige Bueckers versus Caitlin Clark, which will naturally attract attention, and they deserve credit for planning frequent games between the Wings and Fever. Another exciting matchup could be between Bueckers and Hailey Van Lith, especially if Van Lith starts for TCU, as both players are in the same draft class. Instead of rushing to label these games as rivalries, let the players compete first. Some lighthearted banter could eventually evolve into a long-standing rivalry. Even without official rivalries, top rookies bring in a college audience, making these matchups exciting. Moreover, rematches in the playoffs or championship games can solidify these rivalries, like with the Liberty and Lynx. A finals rematch always carries more weight, and similarly, if the Aces and Liberty face off in the playoffs, those games will become must-watch. These two teams are likely to develop a rivalry due to their exceptional squads. Even without a rivals week, label, regular season games can still be marketed as major events if they're not part of that specific week. Genuine rivalries can't be forced. The league should focus on recent history and matchups that fans are already invested in. Fans are drawn to authenticity and will decide for themselves which games are essential to watch. With the WNBA's talent at an all-time high, Rivals Week is a bold attempt to package excitement and will undoubtedly feature incredible basketball, but just calling a game a rivalry doesn't make it engaging.
Here's Asia Wilson knocking down her first.
Allowing these stories to unfold naturally could give the league more momentum. Whether it's Rivals Week or not, Caitlin Clark will continue to attract viewers and fans. Last season, she showed that Angel Reese will keep improving, and perhaps the two could compete for a championship in the future. At that point, their rivalry would truly deserve the title. It seems pointless to force a narrative of good versus evil or hostility when none exists. These newcomers, including Clark, Beckers, Reese, and others, have played a major role in the WNBA's exciting expansion era. It's a good idea to capitalize on the growing interest in these players while honoring their talents by showcasing their games. Give us the matchups we want, but don't tell us how to feel about them. We can recognize genuine competition when we see it, and if it's not there, no amount of sponsorship or hashtags will convince us. So, should the WNBA stop trying to force feuds, or do you think they're headed in the right direction with Rivals Week? Leave a comment with your thoughts, and thanks for watching. If you're still here, use a basketball.